Hello and welcome to the Women Racing to Win. Joe Sammiego here, along with Daniel from Racers, the girls behind the helmet. Got a lot to discuss today, and we'll start off with some of the Extreme E race weekend action that we saw this past weekend in Saudi Arabia, the inaugural weekend, the Desert X Prix. And overall, big weekend for Nico Rosberg's team as they took the win. Molly Taylor brought home the team their first win on that last lap. However, at Ready Autosport, we saw Katie Manning set a fast lap, cutting the gap down by 11 seconds, but it was a little too late. But they did clinch second place. And of course, Christina Gutierrez or Sir Lewis Hamilton team, X44, comes home in third place. Overall, pretty eventful weekend. We saw three teams leave with torn up vehicles. And of course, we definitely really excited to see the first series with gender equality when it comes to the racing drivers, a male and a female racer from both all the teams. Daniel, first race weekend is now in the books. What are your initial thoughts, especially when we saw the men and the women racing against each other?
Oh yeah, good morning everyone, first of all. And yeah, I think it was a very interesting first weekend for Extreme E. Very exciting to see the championship finally kicking off after such a long time since it was thought. And the cars look great, I think. As you said, it's really exciting to see finally the first championship racing with a fully gender equal, on equal terms, with a 50-50 male and female team. I really had fun watching the event. Is it perfect? No, I don't think so. There's still things that I think should be looked into and improve for the next round. But I think the series being, of course, with basically the same team behind the launch of Formula E, and we know how successful that is now. I think they're very open in trying out different stuff. And also being, of course, all new, they can do practically whatever they want to improve the series. I do think maybe the most evident thing is that the actual racing in the finals and the semifinals was not that great because, of course, of the dust, of the sand. And it was a race until the first corner, basically, and then the driver in front had a massive advantage because of all the dust of the drivers that they did not have visibility behind. So this is, I do think, I also heard you guys, Joe and Kobe, speaking about this yesterday. I do think you are right that it's very dependent on location. On the first round, coming into the next round with different terrain and a different course, it will probably be different and will be surely be different, I think. But still, the format maybe can be a little bit adjust. The qualifying, I do think that while initially the format had the races also for qualifyings for the two different qualifying groups. Well, it was changed and it was time trials, basically. I do think that time trials were very interesting. It may be the most interesting part of the weekend because you actually saw the drivers going flat out and on the edge for the full lap. So both the male and the female drivers. And I thought that was very interesting. But of course, being with a very long track, a very long course, it did result in qualifying being over 4 hours long. So I do think that this is pretty much of an issue for broadcasters, because we can't expect broadcasters to air a 4-hour qualifying at every round. But still, there's something to fix. Also, the drivers. I would have preferred maybe some more mixed strategies with some female drivers going against their male counterparts in some of the races. While most of the teams, all of the teams, decided to send out their male drivers first. and the female driver second, which I do think that we could have saw some more different strategies. But this is also probably part of the reason that it was the first race, so everyone was still evaluating their drivers. I do think that some of the drivers could have had some more track time. For example, we have seen this with Claudia Hürgen, that had two massive crashes in the Abt Cupra car. I do think that especially in the second crash, she was having a little bit of a difficult round, because it was basically the first time that she had completed the full lap, and this is into the final day of the round. So I do think that they are lacking a little bit of track time. But still they are getting there, and the most important thing is that the concept is very interesting, and the cars are amazing, the teams are very competitive, and yeah, that was my first impression of the series.
You bring up a lot of great points, and especially the lack of track time. I know this was something we talked a lot about, various things yesterday, Kobe and I on Grid Tonight, but we didn't talk a lot about the track time. With that said, of course, Claudia didn't have that much track time. We saw Chip Ganassi twice. They had wrecked Kyle LeDuc during the shakedown, and then again the shootout. So Sarah Price limited track time as well. And then, of course, Jamie Chadwick, unfortunately, never got to set a time trial lap because team driver, he was out there, massive rollover, did something to the roll cage to the point it was beyond repairs for that weekend. So her on-track debut for qualifying and for the race didn't happen. That's going to have to wait to Senegal the next round. Now, with that said, of course, you mentioned about Claudia and that big crash during the shootout race, Sarah Price, the limited seating, and overall, besides them, we saw drivers who, of course, new to off-road racing, Sainz, done off-road racing, but not in four wheels, two wheels for the motorcycle. Was there any real driver that we saw in the field that really stood out and impressed you, especially considering unique challenges of this event?
Yeah. Also, I think I always try to analyze some data, and it was a little bit difficult in this after the first round to get data, because of course the lap was different from the driver that completed the first lap from the driver that completed the second lap, because of course the first lap had to go back to the pit lane to perform driver change, while the second driver went straight to the final gates. So with basically two different laps, it was very difficult to compare, and with all the female drivers mainly competing in the second lap, except for Sarah Price, which Ganassi did send out first in the shootout, but all the other female racers went out in the second lap. So it was difficult to compare. To really compare the data. So I had a little bit of a play around with the sector times after the race. And I did find out some interesting stuff. I did find out that Molly Taylor, of course, the driver that won the race for Rosberg, for the Nico Rosberg team, together with Johan Kristoffersson, set the third fastest lap overall. I did take all the lap times from qualifying as well. And tried to compare them in their sector times, and I found out that Molly was very competitive and third overall among all the field, male and females, and she was very close to Kristoffersson, who set the fastest time overall. So the Rosberg team very competitive. Also, Cristina Gutierrez, who is racing alongside multiple rally champion Sebastian Loeb, was not that far off. She was there in the mix. So it's interesting to see Cristina coming to in the next round. She wasn't that far off from Sebastian Loeb as well. So that's really something, you know. Also, really interesting to see that actually Christine Giampaoli Zonca, the Spanish-Italian racer that is racing for the Hispano-Suiza team, she was actually faster than her teammate. And she was the only female driver to be faster than her teammate. But of course, we all know that right now doing these kind of comparison, it's tricky because of course they have very different backgrounds and very different experiences. So the male drivers have much more experience in this kind of motorsport. Well, for example, Michaela Olin-Kotulinski and Jensen Button, who have both who are coming both from racetracks experiences, they were very close on times. So it's really interesting to see these this kind of data, but still taking with a grain of salt, because of course things will change as the season goes on. And also Sarah Price, you mentioned that she had a very troubled weekend for Ganassi. They had two massive shunts also. And I think she only managed to complete one lap in the shootout, while she had a technical problem with the power steering in the qualifying. But if we take into account her lap time in the shootout, she was also faster by, I think, more than 20 seconds compared to Kyle Leduc for any lap times that he had set throughout the whole weekend. So definitely something interesting coming to the second round. And I just would love to say a little bit more different strategies from the team, and then mixing them up a little bit more to see the female drivers really shining among the and a mixed field.
Great analysis there, and especially with the lap times. I know Sarah Price, that was one driver I was literally looking forward to, and he brought up just one completed lap from qualifying, because they had that issue, and then the shootout, and then of course Ganassi going home with a torn up vehicle. Hopefully this next round, especially the next round, will be in May 29th through the 30th at Senegal, the Ocean X Prix. Definitely, I think hopefully will not be a big of an issue there. Some more track time I think will be beneficial for all the racers there, and hopefully, of course, anytime you have a brand new series, brand new program, first weekend is going to be some glitches here and there. Power steering we saw was an issue for multiple teams. Going forward, hopefully that'll all be addressed for another exciting second round of Extreme E. And of course, we'll be following Extreme E all year long right here on the Grid Network. Now, two drivers that we are following, of course, and they raced in Super Formulas and Super Formulas Light. Daniel, tell us about Tatiana and Miki.
Yeah, the Super Formula Championship is the premier Japanese single-seater championship, one of the fastest Formula cars around the world. We spoke with Tatiana last year, and she said that they're very, very similar to Formula One in cornering speed, in downforce, and much faster than the Formula 2 cars that she had driven the year before. So definitely Super Formula, one of the really top racing championships around the world. And Tatiana Calderon has started her second season in the championship. The 2021 calendar started from the Fuji event, former home also of the Japanese Formula One Grand Prix. And together with Super Formula, also we had the Super Formula Lights, as you correctly mentioned, where Miki Koyama, the W Series driver, made her debut in the championship. But let's talk about Tatiana first for a moment. Tatiana Calderon had a decent first year in Super Formula. She had a couple of really strong races, especially the first round last year when she was P12, and also in Suzuka towards the end of the championship. Unfortunately, she had to miss a couple of rounds due to conflicting schedule, because of course she was also racing the European Le Mans Series in Europe with the all-female LMP2 team of Richard Mille Racing, where she was racing alongside Sophia Flörsch and Weizke Visser, and she also did the Le Mans 24-hour. And of course, with the COVID restrictions and all the travel going on last year, it was a little bit tricky for Tatiana, and she had to miss 2 rounds. So it's not completely fair to judge her in the first season compared on points. She did miss a point finish last year, but I do think that this year it will be a little bit it is looking a little bit better for her. She had positive testing days before the start of the championship in Super Formula. She completed 2 test days at Fuji prior to the race event. And she had a strong weekend in Fuji. She had the best ever qualifying for her in the series. She did advance to the Q2, which was the first time ever that she had made the cut into the Q2 in qualifying. The Super Formula has a little bit of a similar qualifying format to Formula One. Even though they changed the day because they were competing in qualifying on the Sunday morning, while this year they're doing qualifying on Saturday, just like Formula One. I do think it's a little bit better to have a qualifying in Formula One because it gives the team more breathing space for setup adjustments. Tatiana has a little bit more of a difficult work to do because, of course, they have just one car operation in Super Formula, and it's also a team that had not been entering the series for quite some time. They were back in the series last year after. I think they were out of the series for 5 years, and also they had changed the chassis in that time frame, so they had a little bit more of an adjustment time, I would say. But she did well, and in Fuji, she qualified P11, so she missed out on the Q3 for just a couple of positions. And in the race, she was always around that top 10, that point scoring position that she's really trying to break into. Unfortunately, it was mixed weather, and there was this rain threat throughout the whole race. And it did started to rain in the second part of the race, and the race was declared wet, and so there was some messy situations going on with the drivers, with teams electing to pit early, and some others that were waiting for the rain to pit, and then they had to pit towards the end. But we didn't understand if they still had to complete their mandatory pit stop, because with the race being declared wet, there were rumors that they could maybe go to the end without pit stop. But still, they did at the end. They did had to pit, and Tatiana pitted on lap 26. And unfortunately, the strategy didn't work out very well for her, because she was sent out in the traffic, and she missed a couple of positions. Also, the Super Formula had banned the tire warmers, the tire blankets for this year, and she really struggled on cold tires when she went out on new tires. She really missed some opportunities, and she dropped down a couple of positions in those 2 laps that she had before the tire temperatures went back to normal. Could have been maybe a tire pressure issues, we don't know for certain, but she did struggle a little bit too much with cold tires. And at the end of the race, she was P13. So unfortunately dropped back a little bit after the qualifying, but in the first half of the race she was really strong. It was really towards the top 10, and drivers that were fighting with her did end up in the points. So some promising coming into the next round, because she knows that she can battle for those positions, and I do think that she will have a better season compared to last year, but still not the result that she wanted, but promising coming into the remainder of the season. We also had Miki Koyama, the Japanese W Series driver, competing in Super Formula Lights. The Super Formula Lights was previously named All Japan Formula 3 Championship, which is a really competitive championship, and a series that brought to Formula One and also to Super GT or to other elite motorsport championship a lot of important names in current motorsport, and also in Formula One. So a really important championship, and it has been rebranded Super Formula Lights because it is now a support series to Super Formula. But they are still using the Formula 3 cars from last year's. It's the same Dallara car, the Formula 3 car that they're using in Europe, also in the Euro Formula Championship. So we have a little bit of a comparison with these cars. It was the first time that Miki competed in that series and in that Dallara Formula 3 car, because previously she had only entered the Formula 3 rounds in the Tattoos Formula 3 car, in both the W Series and in Formula 3 Regional Asian Championship. But she also had entered one round of the very new Formula Regional Japanese Championship, which is not using the same Tattoos cars, but a Dome, which I see, which is a Japanese manufacturer, which is really similar to the Tattoos car. Still was her first time in the Dallara Formula 3 car. She says that she really likes it. The car is lighter and a little bit faster than the Tattoos one. We also had other drivers saying this to us previously. And she had quite a strong weekend. She had three in a three header. She had 3 top 10. She was P7, P8, P7. Also, the 3 races were contested on very different weather conditions. The first one was very sunny, then the second one was cloudy, and and the third one was wet. But still, she was consistent. She was not she didn't have the pace to be top 5, I would say, but she was there. She was P7, P8, P7. Very good starting point for her. We don't know yet if she will be back for the remainder of the season, but still it's really good track time for her, because we know that all these W Series driver have missed a season last year, with W Series being cancelled in 2020, so they're all trying to catch up that track time, that vital track time, entering as many races as they can in Formula 3 machinery. So it was still a good weekend for Miki Koyama. She didn't score points because, curiously, the Japanese Super Formula Light Championship doesn't award points to the top 10 like probably most of the worldwide championship do. They only award points to the top 6, like it was in Formula 1 in the 90s. So Miki was right there at the edge of the point scoring positions. But yeah, I don't think that she was a little bit too concerned about points, because we don't know if she will be contesting the whole season. It was just track time and practice time in a Formula 3 car, and I would say that she was successful in that.
Very successful in that, and of course for Tatiana, improvement, second year. So performance is going to be really exciting to see the potential for her this year. And it's just something, as you mentioned, about those cold tires. I know fellow country person Juan Pablo Montoya was really good with the cold tires. That is such a huge change to go from warm tires where you have all that grip ready to cold tires, lack of grip. It just makes a big challenge. And that is something I think a lot of drivers could relate to when it comes to some of the struggles when you've gone from that big of a switch. Now, unfortunately, we do have a little bit of news to report. Last race weekend on our show, we had a report on how Esmee Hawkey was going to go to the Iron Dames for 2021. Of course, that was very exciting news to report last race weekend. Yesterday, the news came out that management had misclassified her credentials, and unfortunately, the Iron Dames later on issued a statement that Hawkey will not be part of the team and has been effectively terminated. No statement from Esmee or management of her since that announcement. I know this has to be a big heartbreak for all her fans, especially looking forward to see her in that team. Then for all the race fans, especially here in the United States, not familiar with the FIA credentials and the rules, can you explain exactly what happened? Because I know there's a lot of discussion about what exactly all happened.
Yeah, I do think it was it's you have to feel for Esmee, we're very gutted for her, because she did deserve that seat. She won last year, and we reported from her races many times, the Porsche Carrera Cup UK Championship, winning a lot of races. She is really a great GT driver, and also, of course, she was part of the inaugural W Series championship in 2019, where it was her first time in a single seater, and still she was fighting there. She was pretty competitive. Didn't qualify for the second year, but she was competitive in a series that was out of her comfort zone because she had always competed in GT cars. So the step up to the European Le Mans Series was massive for her, and we really were looking forward to see her in the Iron Dames project, which is really expanding the programs in many championships and giving a lot of young, talented female drivers a lot of important opportunities. Let's start with saying that we are not big fans of the FIA credentials, driver ratings. I will say why, because I do think that it prevents some drivers to compete in some championships or in some teams purely based on some rankings that sometimes they happen to have an advantage to drivers like gentlemen drivers, let's try to understand a little bit more what happened. In ELMS, in the GT category, all the teams are lining up 3 drivers, and one of them or two of them might be bronze rated drivers, or 1 bronze and 1 silver rated drivers. And the categorization is platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. These rankings are updated on a year-to-year basis, and they are useful for endurance races, and they are trying to level the playing field with drivers, with very experienced drivers, maybe former Formula One drivers, with gentlemen drivers, basically. So with these categorization, with these rankings, you get a little bit of a more balanced field. This is the concept behind it. And of course, in ELMS and also in Le Mans, these rankings play a massive role. And last year we had 2 silver drivers in the number 83 Ferrari by Iron Dames. We had Rahel Fry and Michelle Gatting that were ranked as silver drivers. And then we had Manuela Gosner, who was ranked a bronze driver, because she was into that level of endurance racing. She had less experience, and she was a little bit older than her teammates. We understand that Esmee Hawkey's management had provided the information to Iron Dames that Esmee would have been rated as a bronze driver. So she was eligible to race in ELMS in the GTE category together with Rahel Fry and Michelle Gatting. But the team learned yesterday that Esmee was in fact not a bronze driver but a silver driver. So they could not line up in that team, and that is because, or at least what the Iron Dames press release stated yesterday, because of incorrect information provided by Esmee's manager to the FIA in the driver categorization process. Of course, we don't know exactly what happened, but we know that all the teams, all the drivers are trying to be ranked as bronze because, of course, they have more opportunities, and that's exactly why I do not personally like this system. But yeah, we gotta feel sorry for Esmee, because it was a massive program for her, and we hope that she can still find a seat for this year.
Well said, and especially the program, the way it works, prevent Esmee from this situation. opportunity, and it's just a tough break for her. Definitely, I know we'll be following this story, and especially any developments. We'll be happy to see Esmee back on the track, and definitely wishing her the best as well. And hopefully, we'll be reporting on her upcoming races. Speaking about upcoming races, of course, we do have some more racing up ahead. We know we have Monza. Can you tell us a little bit about the Monza race weekend coming up?
Yeah, I will be there from tomorrow in the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, the Temple of Speed, as it is called. The 2021 Ferrari Challenge Europe Series is starting this weekend in Monza. Of course, we had the season finale in Misano a couple of not that long ago, even though it was the 2020 season finale, but they had to postpone it. And now, finally, the 2021 season is starting. And speaking about of the Iron Dames, there will be a Ferrari Iron Dames car in Monza for Michel Gatting. Even though, because we still don't know, and the LMS that we just spoke about, that is starting next weekend. So Iron Dames is still trying to find the new drivers lineup. Probably Michelle will be again part of that lineup, but she was announced in the Ferrari Challenge, and she will be on the grid in the Ferrari Challenge, in the Ferrari 488 for Iron Dames, and so we will be there reporting from the track. Even though unfortunately we will not have the opportunity to report on the race of Fabienne Wohlwend, the young driver from the Liechtenstein, who is also a W Series driver, of course, and she will be again on the W Series grid later this year. It's since 2017 she was also part of the Ferrari Challenge family, and she also won the championship in 2018, famously at Monza. So we were really looking forward to see Fabienne coming back to the track that gave her the title, the World Finals title in 2018. Unfortunately, she released a statement yesterday morning that she will not be on track because of her team Octane 126. Lost a couple of sponsors due to the COVID economic crisis, and it's really understandable. And so they will be focusing on the VLN Championship, which is now called the Nürburgring Langstrecke Series. I think it's a lot cheaper for them to focus on that championship, and also on the on a massively popular race in Germany, which is the 24-hour of the Nürburgring. They will be entering that race, likely with Fabienne. And but yeah, so far they announced that they will not be at the starting grid of both the season opener in Monza and the second round in the Red Bull Ring in Austria. So we will see if they can get some financial backing and be back on track in the Ferrari Challenge as well. But so far we will only be following Michel Gatting into the next weekend in Monza.
And of course, we want to remind everyone you could visit the website Behind the Helmet. There they have a full calendar, as you can see right here, of all the upcoming race weekends. Not a whole lot this weekend, but definitely throughout the entire year. Be sure to visit the website and all the racing upcoming and throughout 2021. And subscribe to the Grid Network right here on YouTube. Not miss any of our programs. Especially as we go forward, we're going to be going through some little adjustments. If you tuned in to Grid tonight, we're evolving for our second year, and today marks 1 year of Grid Network on the air since our first Grid Tonight program. So it's really exciting to be 1 year later on the air with you all for Women Racing to Win. For Daniel at Racers, the Girls Behind the Helmet, I'm Joe Samaniego. Thank you for watching. We'll see you all next time. Joe Samaniego here. Want to invite you to go check out Publis. Publis is a dog clothing and accessory company based in Austria. 10% of each of your purchases goes to helping dogs in need, whether it's homeless, sick, or ill dogs. This is one of the reasons why we support it. Kiska here is a rescue dog from rural Alaska and our Grid office dog. We care about our furry buddies, and we know you do as well. Definitely check out pawbliss.com. There's a link on the video description, and by clicking on that link, you get a 10% discount on your purchase as well.